Welcome to This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition. I'm Kent Justice. This podcast focuses on economic development of the River City and our region. And today's topic is AI, the promise and peril. And I use that phrase because Jacksonville Business Professionals recently hosted an event for its members and its guests as its fall educational gathering. That's the title of it. And so, as you can see, we got several guests with us right now. A full table of contributors, if you will. Let me introduce them. Representing Jacksonville Business Professionals, Blake Massey, the JBP president of iStar LPL Financial Advisor. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Corey Jones, also JPB Education Chair and Climate First Bank North Florida representative here. So two of the folks who spoke at the events, they've both been on our Sunday morning show This Week in Jacksonville. Matthew Chang, founder of Chang Industrial, a niche firm and is specializing in autonomous systems. And then Matt Burseth, co-founder and CIO of NLP Logics, which is a leading AI services company, which includes data mining and machine learning. Matt, you're probably the person that I've known the longest because a few years ago, I started hearing about NLP Logic and I go, machine learning? I don't even know what this is. So that's kind of where we come today. Blake, if you just start, what was this event and why was this the topic that you chose for members to get engaged in?
So, first of all, Kent, Jacksonville Business Professionals is comprised of small business people that help small business owners in the community, and so all of us collectively together we're just hearing a lot about AI, right. In our daily emails that we get through our organization and other organizations in our industries, and then it's just a big buzzword that we've kind of been hearing about and said, so we kind of grabbed it and took it and said, hey, let's put something together that, and see what we can do for the community to kind of bring people together around this topic.
Yeah, and Corey, I understand you helped organize this and what have you. How did you make some of those choices that these guys would be speakers, the other folks would get involved, and maybe even what the topics were?
Sure. So Jacksonville Business Professionals education is a huge part of our mission. And so because of that, we've created a committee that we call the Education Brain Trust. So it's a lot of folks in JBP that are passionate about partnering with the community and the local universities. And so what we did is we had an event in February at University of North Florida, which was our first event partnering with a local university. It was on Valentine's Day, which in retrospect was not a great day to pick, but it ended up being completely packed out. We had business owners, we had students.
Very romantic.
Yeah, very romantic. We had hearts in the logo, which added to that. But it was essentially, for that event, creating some recognition for UNF and their career services and the fact that small and medium-sized businesses don't necessarily know that they have that at their disposal to find local talent. So it started at UNF. We came up with that as a way to kind of start the ball rolling with that integration with local universities. And then JU was our next target. So we thought, okay, the next half event we want to do at Jacksonville University. We've got some alum in our group. What will the topic be? So we brought our Education Brain Trust together, which is a really cool name, I feel like, that we came up with. And we just kind of like threw around ideas as to what is relevant right now, and AI kept coming up. And one of the main reasons it came up initially is because for the outline of that meeting, I used ChatGPT to help me come up with some talking points. Right. And that's not all of AI, but so that, I mentioned that. And I think, Blake, actually, you were one of the first people in the group that mentioned artificial intelligence as a great topic. So so we started, polling each other, who knows who, who knows some players in that industry here in Jacksonville. And through our little committee, we came up with connections to these folks. Bob Touchton, Nick Allard were two other speakers that were awesome. And then Matthew Chang and Matt Burseth, just blew it away. And we couldn't be more thankful for having such great speakers.
So I understand part of the advertisement, come to this seminar, this day of learning or whatever. AI leaders will discuss, and one of those things, Artificial Intelligence 101, that's where a whole bunch of us need to start, right? Bringing the world of AI into your business, why the hype that humans still matter, because humans we talked about this recently on our Sunday morning show. Humans are like, am I going to lose my job? What's going to happen here? And then the other one I saw, the title was Humans and AI Have a Lot to Learn from each other. Matt Burseth, why don't you start here? You've got a connection with JU. Are you teaching there? Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
So the first person, I just mentioned this to you before we started recording, first person who mentioned ChatGPT to me was the president of JU. Said, Ken, have you heard about this? And it's like just a year ago. He says, oh, you're going to hear a lot about this. Well, how did you approach this learning day, and what's the thing that you wanted to share with folks, specifically when it comes to what AI is and how it may apply to the business community here in Northeast Florida?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you know, AI is kind of amazing. It's like this mysterious thing that I think, you know, if you're not in the field, you might think it has this endless capability and can kind of do anything. And I think ChatGPT brought that to everybody's webpage, right? It literally is amazing. It can do a lot of things. But I think specifically, what I wanted to bring to the JU Day of Education was, you know, I look back at the last 15 years of technology and software, and it's been all about gathering data, collecting data, warehousing data, and now, you know, we kind of have some of the tools and some of the technology to really unlock that data and really drive efficiency and optimization using AI. And I don't think it needs to be mysterious. I guess the thing I would like, you know, to I guess kind of drive home is, at the end of the day, we use terms like neural nets and deep learning, and there's a lot of complex math, but at the ground floor, it really is pattern recognition, which I think is something people can relate to. It's very good at finding patterns in data, and then, you know, you, the engineer, get to figure out how to match those patterns to drive in your business outcomes, which is where all the fun is.
Yeah, so I can hear the brains going for folks in businesses, especially in leadership or analysis positions, right now saying, okay, if I apply that. Matthew Chang, as we talk, by the way, how did the TEDx Jacksonville talk go?
It was terrifying, and I think the most important part, just like going to JU, is becoming an alum, right? So as you get through, you go to the other side, but I think overall it was a big success. It was about human nature. So we did talk, multiple speakers talked on AI and how it's influenced by humans and humans influence AI. So I think it was a powerful conference. Hats off to the organizers, Jean Marie and David, that put it on. Really a world-class event. And they had some exciting news that they unveiled at that event, which was they got picked as top 10 global TEDx sites, and one of only 2 in the U.S. So that was super cool to just be a part of that.
And that was a key reason that we got connected a month or so ago, and talked about some of those things. So what's your view and message to folks on that day, or they're listening to the podcast or watching the podcast right now, about artificial intelligence?
Well, I'm the counterbalance to the dark side or the fears about AI. I'm the AI optimist. We have been using what I would call embedded AI in our business, where we deliver robotics and automation solutions to customers that have AI built in. We've been doing that for more than 5 years. So I know for Matt, he's been doing it for over a decade, and for me, we've been doing it 5 years. It's just another day at the office. There's nothing that, you know, crazy about it. We realize it's powerful and it's cutting edge, but as long as we've been deploying AI solutions, it hasn't freaked people out until they saw ChatGPT. So I'm very optimistic about it. I think you can control the way the systems work, and I also want to echo what Matt said. It's not as powerful as people would think. When we do AI-enabled robots, we really have to maintain the environment around them so they can be successful. They're not as dexterous or as good at decision-making or improvising as humans are. So we have to control the environment so the robots can be successful.
So I'm definitely going to bring Blake and Corey in on this. I'm going to ask a question here, and I'd look to Matt or Matthew, your response here. But Blake and Corey, I'm going to ask you also, what's the biggest excitement you have about AI when it comes to business, or the biggest concern you have when it comes to AI and business?
So I think the excitement, right, for me was something that I learned at JU, right, that AI has been around for a long time. It's just now coming to the forefront, right, with ChatGPT and some of the other things around that, right? So I think some of the excitement around that is that it's going to help businesses be able to do things more efficiently, more effectively, helping our day-to-day business. I know in my industry as a financial advisor, right, there's things out there that, again, I allude back to. I get emails all the time about AI and how it's reshaping our industry as financial professionals. So just really looking forward to the future of the positive things. I think I'll take Matthew's side here and the positive side to AI. I'll let the lawyers and the other people deal with the negative effects. But I'll choose to remain optimistic that we're going to use this thing for something good and get some good positive energy out of it and back from it.
Corey, what about you? Concerns or some excitement or some both?
Well, as a fan of the Terminator series and Black Mirror, which are both very dystopian-esque shows, I definitely was in the pessimistic camp for a while, but they turned me around for sure. I mean, just the presentations they had about all the practical tools that you can use to help your business, for example, because in banking, we interact with all different types of businesses and business owners. And I remember taking so many notes from both of their presentations on just like very practical things that can make these businesses more efficient that are out there that are free or relatively inexpensive. One thing in banking especially that AI has been helpful for is fraud detection and being able to sift through these huge amounts of transactions and find connections to things that could be suspicious or potentially fraudulent.
And that's what Matt said, pattern recognition is what that's
exactly.
For, right?
Yeah. Now, exactly how that terminology, I would have never come up with that terminology necessarily, which is why it was great to hear from them because, I just feel way more educated about the topic after the fact. But as far as things to worry about, I teach as an adjunct at University of North Florida, and so a lot of times when you bring up things like ChatGPT, the only thing that the students associate it with is cheating. Not so much that they're using it for cheating, but they hear only negative things about it, right? And again, ChatGPT is not the only AI tool that's out there, but it's one of the ones that are is most easily accessible, right? One of the things that I think is not looked at enough is teaching young people and students about ways that they can use AI and ChatGPT and these tools as a tool to bolster their education and their future career prospects, and not necessarily as something that should be banned or shunned or looked at in a negative way, if that makes sense.
I thought for a moment, in terms of preparing for our visit today, that maybe I would just use ChatGPT or something else to say, hey, come up with 10 great questions for, and ultimately I said, no, we'll have a conversation without going there.
But do a good job.
Matthew and Matt, I do want to bring this up to you. So I did some research here. There's an interview with this gentleman, Stuart Russell, computer science professor, University of California, Berkeley, a textbook he wrote, Artificial Intelligence, A Modern Approach. So the Jacksonville Business Professionals event, was AI Promise and Peril. And I bring this up, this guy, Stuart Russell, says he worries about humans becoming too dependent on the technology, then losing, as he put it, as the quote, the incentive to learn and to be capable of anything. And that, I think, would be another form of catastrophe. What's your view when you hear somebody say, I'm concerned that we turn out to be those people who couldn't walk around in Wall-E, the movie from a million years ago? Matt, you get this one first.
Yeah, it is interesting. I do think that there's like a high water mark, which is, for the most part, November 31st of last year, when the internet was mostly human content. There's bot-generated stuff, but it's mostly human content. I would love to know the percent of digital text data that's been generated in the last 11 months that is human created versus artificially created. And I do think it is interesting conceptually to think about, what is it like if humans aren't innovating and thinking, and we have AI that is doing the innovation, but all of the innovation it's doing is based on only the data it was trained on. I do think that there is some conceptually interesting topics there. And we work a lot in healthcare, and I think there is that same thinking in healthcare as you get with medical imaging, and we automate some of the analysis of radiology and pathology. Do we stop, do we kind of lock that knowledge into the algorithms and don't have it in humans anymore? I think that's probably the point he's making. That's probably true. Honestly, that's not where my concerns are. My concerns are really the big players right now, being OpenAI, Google, I guess Microsoft a little bit, when they start closing their research, which I think is what we're seeing as a trend, is because they realize, this technology is incredibly valuable, and what used to be published is really not going to be published. And I think that is going to be the bigger impact, because it's going to kind of slow innovation, and it's going to lead to a little bit of a separation of the haves and the have-nots.
What do you think, Matthew?
Well, I think there's kind of two things to look at. Number one is we're still in the acceleration phase of AI. So even though it's got a lot of buzz, as we polled the audience at Jacksonville University, very few people were using it more than once a day. So I think as we accelerate, and as a business owner, I'm encouraging my team to accelerate. Use it more. Like, become more efficient, find more ways and more things and tasks that AI can support you with, so you have a better quality work output, or you just move faster. So I feel like right now we're solidly in accelerate. And then to the point the professor wrote about in the article, that humans will lose functionality 100%, and we're going to level up. So the similar analogy is, as a kid, I can remember memorizing between 50 and 100 phone numbers. Right. These days, outside of 911, maybe I've memorized, 10 or something like that, because they're all in my phone. We dealt with the same thing as I was going through engineering school. There was a lot of new tools coming out that made engineering easier for modeling and calculating, and the old school camp said you should be able to do that in your head or on paper. And the new school camp said, why? We'll always have calculators, we'll always have computer programs. So I think there's going to be a generational shift, and it's just going to work itself out, is my opinion, is that we will lose some of the routine processing ability we have because the AI is doing it. But then we're going to level up, that we can manage multiple AI tools, doing multiple tasks for us at one time, and we'll be more efficient in our work life.
So I know you mentioned banking and financial services. Regulation happens from top down from the government. So this recently, end of October, President Joe Biden announced an executive order that, as they put it, the White House put it, seeking to reduce the risks that artificial intelligence poses to consumers, workers, minority groups, and national security. Anybody have thoughts there? How do you think that would be affected by regulation? Does it slow down the innovation or the application of AI in businesses?
Well, I'll jump on that one. And there are real consumer risks. So I do agree with the watchdog mentality. I've seen deep fakes. I got deep faked the other day. And I thought it was real, and I wrote about it. I commented online, and then somebody chirped right back at me and said that was a fake video. And I kind of felt dumb that I didn't spot that yet, because I'm not trained at spotting these type of AI-generated deepfakes yet. I'm sure in a few years I'll spot it immediately. I hope, is my hope. So on the watchdog side, I get that. On the innovation side, it's very concerning. Software programming and robotics are global industries. And some of the best centers of excellence are outside these shores. So we need to, in my opinion, make sure that we're fostering a culture of innovation in this country, and that our companies and our young people have the opportunity to do the best work in the world. If we don't allow it here, it will go somewhere else, and that is concerning.
All right. Who else?
Again, kind of pivoting back to the fraud topic, Apple came out with this new tool in their new iOS where you can record, I think, like an hour of your voice answering various questions, and then overnight it generates this I guess, AI that can speak in your voice no matter what prompt you type in, and just, it speaks for you. And I think it's meant as an accessibility tool for folks that maybe have issues speaking, but there's a lot of talk around, tools like that being used to commit fraud over the phone with banking transactions, for example. So I can't say that I'm super well read on the executive order, but anything that can protect data like that to make sure it doesn't get out in the open and is used nefariously, I think is pretty important.
Yeah. So before we wrap up here, Blake and Matt, I want to make sure you get kind of a final word here. What's the near-term and maybe the long-term future that you're excited about when it comes to AI and economic development in our region? Blake?
I just think it's going to help AI is going to help to shape that, right? It's just accessibility is one of the words I heard today, right? Just talking about how it makes things more accessible. I think AI is going to play a major role in reshaping or shaping us from an economic standpoint. We're certainly trying to do that as an organization for the small businesses here in the community, and I think having this conference, having AI put to the forefront, hopefully will spur some others to want to join in and be a part of the conversation.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess what I'm excited for as a business owner as well is this whole, the co-pilot productivity enhancements that I think we're just going to keep added on to all of our favorite products. We're seeing it with Microsoft Office. We've got it with our developers at work, but just constantly getting the most out of the technology, even in the short term. I feel like this is already here, and then mid to long term. I think that the focus on generative AI and ChatGPT has just reignited even the previous generation of technology, which I think we've got a ton of building to do to even leverage the most of what's already there. So I think it'll be a good 5 to 10 years is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things that I appreciate is getting to visit with, have a discussion with people who are smarter than me. That's everybody at the table, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. So Blake Massey and Corey Jones from Jacksonville Business Professionals, and Matthew Chang from Chang Industrial, and Matt Burseth, NLP Logic. I appreciate it. Really invigorating discussion here. I know a lot of us are going to be deep thinking after this. And for each of you who are listening or watching, we're working to bring you more interviews like this focused on economic growth in our region. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition.